Good morning, North Penn High School, and welcome back from the Labor Day weekend. I hope everybody had a restful and relaxing 4-day weekend, and you're ready and recharged and ready to go here for the second week of school in the 25-26 school year. So today we're talking about something very, very important. I'd say probably the most important thing here at North Penn High School, and that's school safety. So I say the most important thing because really everything that we do here, we couldn't do without safety. So each year we go over drills and we go over responses so that if anything were to ever occur within a school building, both our staff, our students, they would know what to do in those situations. So I ask that everybody give us the next 10 to 15 minutes, give us your attention anytime throughout the year when we do a drill. Please give us your full attention because these are so, so important because we want to make sure that school safety is present and that everybody knows what to do in every situation. So if there ever were a situation that you would know and feel comfortable knowing what to do in that situation should it ever occur. So with that being said, we're going to spend the next 10 minutes, like I said, going over some of the different situations. Dr. Carlin is about to join me. So you'll see Dr. Carlin, who is a junior assistant principal. He's located up in the D103 home office. He's going to talk a little bit about the different situations where we use safety responses, and he'll talk a little bit about some of the drills that you'll see throughout the year. And then I'll also jump back in and talk a little bit about a safety evacuation drill that we have planned for this Friday, which will be the first evacuation drill of this year. We may have a second one later in the year, but we'll talk a little bit about it for the sophomores and the freshmen so that they hear what exactly it looks like. Juniors and seniors, you've seen it before, but we'll go over that so that everybody's prepared for this Friday. So with that being said, I will turn it over to Dr. Carlin.
Just to start off, the safety and well-being of our students and staff at North Penn High School is and always will be our top priority. At the beginning of every school year, we want to make sure all students and staff are aware of the procedures and practices that make our school a place where kids can grow and safely reach their full potential. One of the most important parts of our overall safety plan at North Penn High School are specific to evacuation, lockdown, and lockout procedures. We will now talk about some of the evacuation protocols and why they are so important. First, let's do a definition. So a North Penn High School evacuation is the orderly movement of students and staff from our building to another area when conditions outside are actually safer than inside. We have evacuated in past school years during fire drills and also to the bus circle in Crawford Stadium during actual evacuation drills. So what would that look like, the initiation for an evacuation, right? In the case of an emergency requiring an evacuation, the fire bell or alarm will sound. A verbal announcement over the public address will be made by the principal or their designee. So an off-site evacuation at North Penn High School, right? That's implemented when it is unsafe to remain on the school campus and evacuation to an off-site assembly area is required. So that would be initiated by an announcement made by the principal or their designee. The announcement will be specific and include the name of the evacuation site and any other important situational information, right? So an offsite evacuation will result in the orderly movement of building occupants to a pre-designated assembly area to the affected building. Accountability for all persons will be obtained upon reaching the offsite assembly area by teachers, administrators, or any other adults that are there to support this effort.
So that brings us to an evacuation drill that we have planned for this Friday, September 5th. So this evacuation drill will occur in Night Zone, the class that you're in right now, and we'll start with a fire drill. So Friday when you come in, we'll do an evacuation to Crawford Stadium. You'll go to your Night Zone class. We'll make an announcement similar to we did last week that there will be a fire drill. The bell will ring. Students will evacuate the building. Once you're out of the building, at that point in time, your teacher will lead you over to your bus circle evacuation location. So once you go out of the building after the fire drill, you'll go out, and then your Night Zone teacher is going to take you over to your bus zone location, which I'm about to go over. And then you'll proceed. Once you're there and you're checked in, We'll then go from the bus zone and we will transition down to Crawford Stadium so that each student learns where their evacuation location is at Crawford Stadium. So this is the same drill that we completed last September. So juniors and seniors, you should be familiar with this drill. So when we go to the bus circle, here's a little picture of the bus circle. When we do a fire drill, we evacuate students. You go to your exit, you go out, you get away from the building with your teachers. It could be different each time there's a fire, or say that there's an alarm during the day, depending on which class you are, you're going to a different location. But if you hear that we are going to evacuate to the bus circle, you're going to the same location every time. And that location is going to be with your night zone teacher. That's why there's an importance this Friday. So as you see on the outer loop of the bus loop, so that picture there is of the bus loop. So sophomores, you are going to be across the grass on the bus loop. You're going to be on the far side. And then juniors, you're going to be there on the inside of the bus loop. So juniors and seniors, you're going to line up on the road closest to the building. And then sophomores are going to go on the far side across the grass and line up there. It's important when you go there, you move there as quickly as possible, but you also move there orderly and you move there with your teacher this first time. Because when you get there, you're going to line up in rows. There's markings on the road that are going to have either an EA, EB, EC. Those markings, one, show you where to line up in the bus loop. They're also going to correlate with what is in Crawford Stadium, the section of the stadium that you're going to be in down there. So it'll all make sense when you walk through it. But for this evacuation drill, you're going to walk with your night zone teacher to your assigned area. Now, that assigned area is located on your schedule. So if you look at your schedule and you see night zone, you obviously see the room that you're in now. You also see this other designation that might say EA and then a number, or WF and then a number. Those numbers and those locations are for this drill, really, in case of an evacuation to either the bus loop or Crawford Stadium. That is where you're supposed to be. That's your location. So take a look at that. Your night zone teachers can assist you with that and kind of explain that, whether it be today or the rest of the week. And then Friday, you'll get to walk through that and see where that location is. So again, right now on the screen are the bus circle designations. So the fire drill will ring. You will go evacuate out of the building, and then you will proceed to the bus loop with your night zone teacher. Once we take attendance there, well, again, there will be an announcement that'll say, now from the bus loop, we are going to proceed to Crawford Stadium. Again, if this were an actual emergency, we would make an announcement where we were going. So if we were saying, students, at this time, we are going to have a controlled evacuation to the bus loop, that would be the announcement. You would go out to the bus loop, find your night zone teachers. If we were at the bus loop, there would be an announcement made. Students, at this time, we are going to make a controlled evacuation to Crawford Stadium. The reason I'm saying controlled evacuation is when we're doing these types of evacuations, it is controlled. That means that there is not a threat where it's something where we would need to move everybody right away. This is something where we would know what was going on and we would be able to move people in an orderly fashion. So the next part of this drill is moving from the bus circle to Crawford Stadium. And what you're going to see here is the pathway that we are going to use to Crawford Stadium. Now, because of construction, what we did last year and generally would do is we would walk around the back of the building, around B pod and A pod, and then go down to the stadium. Because of construction, there is not a pathway around the back of the building. So what we will do is we will orderly go where all the students at the outside of the bus loop, you can see it's here in purple, and the inside of the bus loop, they're going to go and they're going to have to go in a line. So we're going to take one section and then another section, and we're going to walk all the way around the front of the building. So we're going to go in the front of the parking lot on that sidewalk, around K-Pod, around J-Pod and H-Pod, and then down the pathway where you would walk, say, if you were going to a football game or if you're going to the stadium for PE class. You're going to walk down past the baseball field, down here to the stadium. And then once we get to the stadium, again, your night zone teachers are going to help you. You are going to split depending on what side of the stadium you are. If you have an E at the beginning of your evacuation designation, you're going to be on the home side, which is the side closest to the school. If you have a W, you're going to be on the away side, which is the side or the visitor side, farthest from the school, which is closer to the tech school. So what that's going to look like is here on this picture. So again, sophomores, most of you are going to be over on that visitor side, which is closer to the tech school. And then of course, juniors and seniors, the majority of you are going to be over here on the home side. So again, it will be a controlled evacuation drill. Teachers will be out there. They will be guiding you throughout the entirety of the drill. It is of utmost importance. Again, this is a very large, it's a large drill. There's 3,000 people who we need to move in a situation like this. The reason that we practice it and we take so much time to do it is because if there were something like this, if there were, say, a gas leak, or if there were a fire, or there's something where we had to move everyone away from the building for something like this, we need to make sure that everybody knows where that they're going and knows where to go and feels comfortable going there so that we can do it in a calm and orderly fashion. So I appreciate it on Friday. I know everybody will do a great job and be locked in. So that's what our evacuation drill will look like on Friday. Now I'm going to kick it back to Dr. Carlin so he can talk a little bit about some of the other responses that we have here at North Penn High School.
Other safety drills at North Penn High School, right? So there are other scenarios that may need to occur depending on the safety situation, right? Including shelter-in-place procedures, there's a couple of those, and lockdowns. So let's talk about those next. So some of the safety procedures include shelter-in-place during a hazmat emergency, right? So a shelter-in-place hazmat emergency is implemented to isolate students and staff from an outdoor environment that might not be safe, right? So an example that there could be like a large fire from a building that is like not completely close to North Penn High School, but the wind might be blowing smoke and it might be a little dangerous. So that's an example. In this instance, we would shelter in place until we're cleared by other safety professionals out in the community who would then tell us, hey, it's safe to undo the shelter in place procedures. There's also a shelter in place weather emergency, and you may have done this at your elementary and middle schools also. Shelter in place weather emergency is implemented to move students and staff to interior areas of the building to protect them from, like, in case windows blow out or something like that, if there is a tornado. So, but we'll do a shelter in place if there was a tornado warning and it was coming close to the school. So that's why we would do that drill. So a lockdown at North Penn High School, and I put intruder drill in parentheses because I think it's real important that that you know about what a lockdown is, but what we also call it, you're very familiar with if you have been a student in the North Penn School District in the last 5-10 years. So, you know, if you started as a kindergartner, you're probably very familiar with intruder drills as they are completed yearly by our respective elementary and middle schools, right? So the same drill occurs here at North Penn High School. Lockdown is initiated when there is an immediate or imminent threat to occupants of a school building, and movement within the building will put students and staff, it would make them unsafe, right? So we do a lockdown. What would that look like, an initiation? Like, what would you hear? So an announcement will be repeated over the building public address system and would include the reason for the lockdown, where the emergency is happening, and if known, like who is involved in that, all right? So what would happen to, you might be familiar with the procedures inside of the classroom, in the individual classroom. So the doors would be locked and any other access point, and we would move students or anybody else that was in the room out of the line of sight, right, from the corridor and classroom windows, and switching off lights and maintaining silence. And so, as you know, principals and school security officers, we were active during this drill as far as like making sure that there's consistency and supporting students and staff during the drill. So, you know, we are out and about during that, just so you know. So a lockout at North Penn High School. A lockout notifies staff and students that police activity associated with a potentially unsafe situation is taking place in the general area of the school. Members of the North Penn High School security team will ensure all that exterior doors are locked. Students that are outside must be safely brought back into the school. school. So that's, and a lockout would be communicated through the PA system to the entire school by their principal or their designee. Final thoughts. All right. So being safe at North Penn High School is something we all need to work on together, students, staff, and school leadership. We all have a right to feel safe in our learning environment, and working on these drills as a team helps to get us to be a safe place where all students can achieve their highest potential. Please remember that you have resources here at North Penn High School to help you. Teachers, assistant principals, guidance counselors, secretaries, custodial nutritional services, our security officers, Mr. Hassler, our principal, nurses. We're all here to support you in a safe learning environment. If you see or hear anything that makes you feel unsafe here at North Penn High School, please report it immediately so we can address it. I hope that this video has been helpful in providing information about our safety drill procedures at North Penn High. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day and a great school year, North Penn High.